Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to Monday Night's Talking Town. I'm your host, the Gov, sat here very happy after Sunderland 1, Ipswich Town 2. We're here to dissect it, pull it apart, debate the life out of it, and just enjoy what was a great opening day for our boys in blue and white. What were your thoughts and feelings, and what are your feelings as you sit here this evening on a Monday night? It is a live show for fans, by fans, and we more or less already hand it over to you. I've got two contributors with me who will give their thoughts, but the live chat is there. There'll be a live link at about 20-25 minutes into the show for you to chance to have your say, unfiltered, totally live in only a way that you can. And we'll start the show really with, it's not often I see a comment after a couple of years where it really makes me laugh during an intro to the point where I'm thinking I might have to play the intro again, but this one did get me quite good. The ref was brought in from Biker Grove, says Big Stewie P. That got me good, Big Stewie. Right, before we go any further, let's hit a like total. Let's have 100 likes. Hit the like button, please. Subscribe if you're brand new here. 36% of our regular viewing audience is not yet subscribed. Come on, hit the subscribe button, join Talking Town, and you, of course, can follow us on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or X, as Twitter's now called, or whatever the hell it's called. Mike Baker, Sunderland will turn over a few times at home. Solid, fantastic result. ITFC Man says, evening all. Shout, I think it means shout out to Haladki for the last ditch shave to secure the point. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we'll cover Haladki. Oh, okay. Crunch has gone bigger. He's on 200. All right, we'll go for the 200 like targets. I don't mind 200 likes to 100. That's brilliant to me. Let's kick things off with some three-word takeaways, three-word reviews. These two are from our Twitter. McCarthy, Dynamite, Alison Hawkett, Triple Bypass. We'll do that after every game. Talking Town ITFC on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and I'll feed them through the course of the evening. These are the ones that I've sort of picked out as good talking points off the back of. So, each week, try and get them creative. Try and, if you can make me laugh, I'll definitely put it on, because I do need a good laugh these days. Talking of which, sadly, Richard's not here, although he might pop in through the course of the show. But this man is, and this man never fails to make me feel some type of emotion. The media mogul.
We've just lost the teenagers. It's absolutely embarrassing.
Matt Phillips. Some type of emotion you make me feel.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
All right now, thanks. After yesterday's 13 minutes of injury time. Can you cope with that for the next 45 league games?
Yeah,
I'm not sure I
loved it.
Really? Well, you did predict 20 minutes, to be fair. You were almost close.
I did. But we want the ball in play. Or certainly the game clock. I'm used to sports where the clock actually stops when something happens, so you're more aware of it. But you actually want 90 minutes played, don't you? Let's be honest, you really do. And whether you're holding the lead or chasing the lead, or it's a 0-0 draw and both teams are rather poor, you do pay your money to get 90 minutes.
I was quite happy for the game to finish at that point when the 13 minutes went up. It went pretty quick, to be fair, but.
Did it?
Yeah, that's going to be. Well, I thought it did, but it's going to take some getting used to. I think. I mean, as Morsey said in the interview on Sky, we're now in a 105-minute game now. It's no longer a 90-minute game, is it?
Well, no, it is a 90-minute game. It's just a 90 minutes that's protracted because the clock doesn't stop. If the clock stopped like it did in NFL, it would still be a 90-minute game. You still get 4 quarters of 15 minutes in the NFL, just over a course of 3.5 hours.
They're a bit more stricter in the NFL, like you say. They do stop it down, but. I mean, you saw it. The Community Shield went to a draw with a 102nd minute goal something yesterday, didn't it? Mm. Yeah. Oh, well.
I'm not a huge fan of the 30-second player getting treatment, has to wait 30 seconds before he comes back on.
Yeah.
Like, your guy gets fouled.
Yeah.
Gets treatment because he's been fouled, and then you're at disadvantage for 30 seconds. Like,
yeah, it doesn't make any sense, that, does it? How does that work out?
Make it make sense. But Alison Hawkett on Twitter with the 3-word review there, Matt, Triple Bypass. I thought that was quite apt, to be fair.
Yeah. triple shot of brandy is what I needed.
Triple shot brandy.
There's
Brilliant.
there's you know, it's interesting. I'm sitting there. I've been sitting here today thinking about the game yesterday. There's questions now, aren't there? Are Ipswich really good? Did we overestimate Sunderland? Was Sunderland unlucky? Maybe. Were we just in third gear? We get new signings in. Can we go up another gear? I mean, the answer to all those is probably maybe, but I think that was a fantastic result. It's probably the standout result of the championship season. I think to go there to a team that finished sixth, and we was all taking a draw, weren't we, before the game? Well, I certainly was. I know Rich was. And then to go there, go 2 up and be really clinical about it. Brilliant.
Just to clarify,
with Hladky in goal, you'd have thought he'd not played a game for about 4 years, the way Sky were going on. He's not played since 2021, a league game. He has played some games.
That is quite a long time, though. Not to have played a really competitive game.
It weren't me in goal.
No, it wasn't League 2 Golden Glove winner. Did you say standout of the championship season, or did you mean weekend? Just to clarify that.
Of the opening weekends.
I was going to say, it's only one game in, Matt. If we've picked already, then I'm quitting.
Yeah, I meant of the weekend. Was there any other results, really? I think Plymouth was expected to turn over Sunderland. I'll talk about Huddersfield. We beat Sunderland. Norwich beating Hull. Was that a surprise? Maybe that was a surprise.
That is a surprise. Norwich beating anybody is a surprise. Kev Flavian, Sunderland fan in peace. All in all, a deserved win for you, lads. Thought we were better team in the first half, but created very little. All the best for the rest of the season. Welcome in, Kev. Kev, drop by whenever you can. Give us updates on Sunderland. Look after our legend, Tony Mowbray. Before we go any further, if you can support the platform, scan the QR code on the screen or hit the link in the chat or in the description if you're watching on Catch Up. $4.99. You can cancel at any point. And then we're going to discuss the football. I've written down here a game of 3 parts. Opening 20, middle 40, and then the last 455 million years of what it felt like. So we'll get into it. We'll start the opening 20, but we need a third man. And this man tonight, filling big shoes, is, of course, the peaky one.
The peaky one, Mark Tuxford.
Well, I mean, I try and be positive. I try and look at it from that kind of outlook a lot of the time.
Tries to be positive. Shouldn't be too hard tonight, should it, Tux?
No, definitely not too hard at all. Absolutely buzzing after that result. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was obviously a difficult first half, wasn't it, for all of us watching. But, you know, we got the 3 points in the end, and I thought it was thoroughly sort of deserved in the end when you think about it because of the defensive display we had to put on second half. But, yeah, generally, obviously, the best outcome that you could actually have, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So that opening 20 minutes, I wrote on Twitter, you know, at half time, we spent the time getting our feet wet. We were at times in danger of getting washed away, although we didn't concede many chances. A 3-word review from my tractor, lot to learn, Tux. Did that opening 20 minutes really sort of showcase that? Because we were chasing shadows for me for a lot of that opening 2025.
Yeah, I think we were just slow to get started. And I think when you look at some of the chances that Sunderland had, I mean, it was a game of chances. So I thought we took our chances, whereas Sunderland really didn't take their chances. So, you know, the main one obviously was that Bellingham miss where Hladky saved it, but, you know, pushed it into his pass. Yeah. So that goes in. That's a game changer. And they could have probably gone on to win it, in my opinion. But the point being was he didn't take his chance. I think probably 5 or 6 games into the season, that probably would have gone in the back of the net. But because it was the first game of the season, you know, they've played pre-season, but, you know, a competitive league football game, you know, that might be one of the reasons why he's sort of skied it. But at the same time, they had penalty chances. We had penalty chances. And, you know, sometimes that sort of evens itself out over the course of the season. But, you know, there's a lot of fans on Twitter last night saying we should have had that Hurst penalty. Yes, we should have. But, you know, if the Bellingham goal goes in, you know, it's horses for courses at the end, don't it?
It absolutely is. And Matt, you know, I say, well, I thought we were chasing shadows. I was really worried after that first 20 because it was men against boys.
Yeah, it was. I totally agree. I messaged someone to say we look like a League One team here. Do you think we were nervous? I suppose a bit of nerves is to be expected. But again, if you look at the average age of our team, Tux, we were like 28. And I think Sunderland's average age was about 22. So we do come in with a lot of experience, albeit maybe not playing at a venue such as the Stadium of Light. Supposedly 40,000 there. Don't know if that's been confirmed. But yeah, we did look like rabbits in headlights a little bit. Didn't look like a team that had scored 100+ goals, but we survived it. And Bellingham missed that really good chance, didn't he? Which he stuck into the crowd, and we scored against the run of play. And then it was kind of one-way traffic after that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think the atmosphere was a big one. I think if you look at any of the comments the players have made after the game, obviously, saying that how happy they are they've won, but they said it was a difficult atmosphere. So obviously going first game away from home, that's always difficult anyway. But generally, in front of a capacity crowd at Stadium of Light, that's quite a tough place to go at the best of times. But generally, the first game of the season is quite a tough fixture. So if you can win your away games, that's always a bonus, because you should be able to hopefully win your home games and then try and get points on the road. And at the end of the day, Sunderland, they were sick. They were a playoff team last year. Did very well without a leading striker for most of the season. But I think they're a very good side. I think they caused us some problems in the first half, some in some areas of the second half as well. But it's credit to us that we were able to defend like that. Because I think years ago we would have capitulated. So credit to the players.
You mentioned how our appearance in the first half there, Matt. Jack Taylor didn't start. It was my shoe-in to start in midfield alongside Morsey. Yeah, and for the very reasons in that first 20 minutes that I kind of saw, we looked like two midfield players, the wrong side of 30, wanting an extra touch on the ball that they weren't going to be given in the Championship. And it looked to me from sat at home, and I want you to tell me what you thought, that we were starting to get overrun in that area. And that's what I thought Jack Taylor would bring with his legs and his energy and his and the ability to get around the pitch and just really carry that momentum and allow Morsey to sit centrally and mop up. Were you surprised to see Massimo start?
Yes, I was. I was surprised by that when that came through the team sheet, because as we kind of discussed the other night, you look at, they've chased Taylor for half a year, got him in, spent money on him, played most of pre-season, hasn't he? Luongo was missing in action like 2.5 weeks, I suppose. And then suddenly, then we did debate, didn't we? If they're travelling there, are they going to be featuring? I think everyone thought they're probably on the bench, but Broadhead starts and Luongo starts. What made me chuckle about our midfield was that I don't really like Sky's Football League commentary. I take it down and have sport synced in, like I do with the cricket, turn the Sky down and have TMS on. And Michael Gray from Sunderland was going, I don't know what they're doing here with the two centre halves splitting, and then one of the midfielders coming into the D to take the ball. He said, it looks like they've never done this before. So why are they trying it today? And I was like, we did that all of last season. That's what we do. I mean, Rich goes, there's nothing like researching a game, is there? Before you get on the mic. But yeah, I mean, I could see his point, right? Hladky started nervously. He missed passes to Wolfenden, and that when I've noticed Morsey started going to the D to try and get the ball from the goal kick, and we got caught out on a couple of times, and then Massimo went there. But I think at the end of the day, once we had overridden that kind of 20 minutes of pressure, their experience came to the fore, I think, and you can see why Luongo was put in there in the end. I mean, McCarthy used to like a safe pair of hands, and clearly McKenna does, because he's gone with Luongo experience over the Taylor signing.
I'll come back to that, because it's a game of 3 parts, as I mentioned. But the second part, Tux, was absolutely phenomenal. We've got a couple of 3-word reviews, one from Facebook, Barry, we belong here, and SB on Twitter, broadband, he wrote, the difference. We suddenly looked a different prospect. We got the goal just before half-time. Then after half-time, we were the team in ascendancy. We were the team stroking it about. We were the team starting to put the real stamp of domination on it. Went 2-0 thanks to George Hurst. Chaplin rattles the bar. Should have been a penalty on George Hurst. Stu Pryor on Twitter says that's a penalty. I've had stronger as well, I could have put. But that 40-minute period was Ipswich Town at its finest.
Yeah, it was. It was for me, that key moment was the goal before half time. I think it could have been quite a cagey affair if we hadn't have got that goal just before the half-time whistle. So that obviously gave us a little time to kind of relax and take the pressure off somewhat. And then obviously Sunderland had to do something about that. But we actually started the second half quite well. But I think we just sort of grew into the game more. And I think I don't think McKenna would have been happy with that first half display. So there would have been words ringing in their ears. So really, when you think about it, I think it was the effect of the manager probably having something to say to them, but also they can go out. They've had a bit of a break. They've got that goal before half time. That then, should give them a bit of an easier ride in the second half because they've got to really come on to us now. And then because of that, Broadhead puts a great ball in through to Hurst, and all he's got to do is essentially kind of finish it. But it was a great finish. But I think some of it is when you look at kind of the latter part of the game, it's when we let them back in again. That's the frustration, because we shouldn't really be letting them back in, because I actually forgot that they were on 10 men in the end, because they actually really did work their socks off Sunderland, in fairness to them. But you shouldn't be conceding a goal really with 10 men against 10 men. So that was a bit frustrating towards the end, and obviously it was a really sort of like heart in the mouth 13 minutes that we had to endure. But yeah, at the end of the day, we got the points, and that was the main thing. Any
doubts when he was put through on goal, Matt? George Hurst? Because I didn't. When the ball was played through, I shouted goal in the living room. I just knew.
You told me that, didn't you? Yeah. I thought he was going to get flagged for. I thought it was such a simple move, and to put him through, I thought he was going to be offside. I was waiting for the whistle to go, but thank God it didn't. But I mean, he's got that albatross around his neck now, hasn't he, Hurst? Because what was it, 40-odd appearances across Blackburn and Rotherham without a goal.
Did you feel the frustration in that shot when he had it, with that just that tinge of frustration, because he knew this was his moment to just to get that goal, put the finger to lips, as it were. Didn't do it literally, but proverbially. And he just sort of, I felt that in that strike. That was a real, I'm scoring it.
Yeah,
regardless.
That's certainly a weight off his shoulders, I think, because he would have had. Well, he said in an interview, didn't he? He said there is pressure on me because I've never been able to score at this level. And then I said there was a question mark over him. Now he's shaken that off, and hopefully he'll go on to good things. The same with Ladapo, when he took a while to score for Town, didn't he? And then suddenly he skyrocketed to double figures almost, and mostly off the bench. But perfect away win. And Hurst does the business in front of goal and chalks up his first in the Championship. It's brilliant.
I think as a striker, though, you're only as good as your service, aren't you, at the end of the day? It doesn't matter who you're playing for.
Yeah.
So, Broadhead will always put it on a plate for you. But you've got to do the running. You've got to do the kind of obviously go off and then score that sort of chance, really. But, he's surrounded by decent players, and I think he obviously suits the way McKenna wants to play. He kind of think he knows he's the number one striker, so he's got that confidence as well. Hopefully he can add to his tally throughout the season, really.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a 3-word review from Middle 40. Blew Sunderland away, found our feet, got a goal, was on top. And Chaplin hits the bar with what could have been the early goal of the decade.
Yeah, the audacity to have a go from the halfway line. Yeah,
to see it as well, just to to see it, the audacity, and to get it.
That was it. Did you shout goal for that one?
As did the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
he thought it was in as well. And then Hurst is obviously following up, and it's a penalty, isn't it, gentlemen? For as long as we love football.
Yeah, it seemed Stonewall. So would he have got a red card as well? Was that double jeopardy?
It's double jeopardy these days, isn't it, Tux?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a penalty, but I think that's as much as it should have been a Stonewall penalty. Would we have scored it? I don't know. I just feel like those sort of things just even themselves out a little bit, because obviously, Bellingham should have scored. We should have had a penalty. Those are the sort of things, really. But generally, it is what it is.
What was the difference, though? What was the difference between the first 20 and then that middle sort of 40? What really allowed us to put our mark on the game? Was it a simple case of getting our flair players in the game? Because there was a hideous stat Sky put up at some point where the fewest touches, and it was mostly all of our front
key players.
Yeah. Was that the difference? Getting them featured?
An element of luck, probably, because Davies has had that shot. I was crying out for him to have that shot. And I don't know, Broadhead's got the, reading the game to cut across, and it's kind of hit him and gone in. Could have almost have been an own goal, I suppose. But, it was a totally different performance from what we're kind of used to seeing Ipswich do. Because in League One, we could boss the game. What did we finish on as a possession stat? 35%, I think, which someone said was probably the lowest McKenna's had in a league game since he took charge all those months ago. So I think it was a smash and grab job, really, wasn't it? I mean, we said on Friday, you got to be, we might not have too many chances, so you got to be clinical. And one's taken a rebound off Broadhead. And then, as you said, Tux, quite rightly, quality ball through from Broadhead is why we bought him. like you said, Mike, you know, you spend $1.5 million and you put balls through like that, get you to the Premier League.
The needle mover.
Yeah, the needle mover. And then Hurst finishes it. And that's what you've got to do at this level. Otherwise, we're going to, you know, you've got to take the chances on the road when you get them.
Yeah.
And we did yesterday. Brilliant.
We really did. And then we got, obviously, the last 30 minutes, high blood pressure from Tractor Boy Ant, Jacobs, square it, Fred. That could have made it 3-1. Look, for me,
should have squared that.
He should have squared it. But we
Don
won,
Ball
so I
next
can
to it?
forgive him. It was.
Disco
Dong streaking through the middle like he's on the old dance floor.
Yeah, he should have passed that. But then he should have scored as well, I think. He missed a very similar chance at Colchester against Luton from that side by the 6-yard box, didn't he?
Look, for me, it had shades of Plymouth, shades of Charlton. We were a man up, but we were playing like 2 men down, which is where I sort of raised the eyebrows earlier when you said about, Luongo and Morsey, and someone in the chat said we bossed the midfield. You can't start a game and end the game, for me, the way we did, and then claim you bossed the midfield because there was no one bossing anything from any blue and white shirt in that last 15 minutes, 20 minutes for me, Tux. We were on the ropes. We were punch drunk. Yeah.
No, I don't think anyone bossed it throughout the game for us at all, if I'm honest. I mean, just the first half alone, I thought we were absolutely dreadful. But, you know, the second half, I think that midfield area improved. I mean, I think games of football like that are always won in the midfield anyway. So for me, Bellingham and the new guy that they've got there, is it Ekwa or whatever his name is? I thought those two were outstanding in the first half. And they had that kind of energy. They had the willing to get forward and get back. But for whatever reason, they drifted from the game, and obviously Bellingham then got replaced. So I think that's some of it as well. But generally, I think, you know, going back to your point about bossing it, I think for me, there was a lot of players there that probably won't be in the side as we progress through the season, because I think some of them, it is just kind of a step too far, in my opinion. I think we need to look at potential new signings to, you know, integrate into the squad, and I think they will come in the end, whether that's, you know, this in August or whether it will be in January. But I do think that some of those players probably won't be playing, you know, in a couple of months' time. There'll be fringe players.
Who you thinking then, Sux?
Well, for me, I thought Donessian was awful yesterday. I think he wasn't really up to it, in my opinion.
Too soft for the goal, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think it was just too soft throughout, and I think down that right side, I just thought we were very weak, and you could sort of see that Sunderland knew that. That's why they kept going down that side. But yeah, for me, Donessian wasn't great yesterday. I thought Burns was quite poor. I mean, obviously he'll be with us, but I mean, for him, his standard yesterday, I thought he was quite poor. It's the end product.
A couple of dodgy crosses, which is always me and Martin's bugbear.
2 or 3 crosses went over. I think one cross literally went over the
stand.
So, you know, there's definitely improvements to be made, and obviously I know we've got injuries anyway and all that sort of stuff. But you know, I just think that players such as Donessian, I don't want to single him out and all that sort of stuff, but at the same time, he sort of reminded me of what he was like in the Championship before when he played for us, where he was quite sort of a little bit tetchy at the back. That's a good point.
I think I watched the Leicester commentary game, and if you see how Leicester came back from behind, the 2 Dewsbury Hall goals, and the winning goal was that header where that Dennis Pratt came off the bench, and floats in a perfect cross, and that is what you've got to do to get wins. You know, we all love Wes Burns. Love his pace, love his energy. Scored some really critical goals for us, but his crossing is inconsistent. And
this is what sort of concerns me slightly, is that when you look at our first 11, you know, barring any injuries, you know, 2 or 3 are missing, obviously in Walton and Clark, but the rest of them were sort of, you know, first 11, and it's not too bad. You know, it sort of matches most sides in this league. But when you look at the depth in our squad, for me, I don't know. I'd just be a bit worried if we got an injury to someone like a Morsey or a Hurst, or, you know, even a Burns or someone like that, because I thought we kind of rode our luck a little bit with injuries last year. And I know we got some injuries, but I think this year will be a bit more testing, just because there's going to be more, you know, added minutes onto games. You're playing more football and all that sort of stuff. It's just going to be, the tempo is going to be further. It's going to be more intense. So, you know, for me, there's still got to be changes. It's not the finished article by any stretch of the imagination, but it'll be interesting to see if we can actually get some signings through the door. But I'm just surprised we haven't really done that already, if I'm honest. I would have thought we could got some business done by now, if you know what I mean.
Don't speculate, Matt, but just
yeah,
talk on
yeah,
facts.
yeah. Don't bugger up the deals.
Yeah.
I mean, it does feel a little bit underwhelming, doesn't it? I do agree. Especially, we discussed this on Friday, didn't we, Martin? Like, you know, we've come up on the crest of a wave, the 100 goals and all that kind of thing, and we know we've got money behind us. Yet we've actually only done 3-4 million.
I think one of which you've chased for 6 months, and he can't start on the opening day of the year, which blows my mind. I ain't gonna lie.
The abundance of
I said my piece.
Yeah, the abundance of options, Martin. That's what it is.
I do think with that one though, I think he's probably going to start most games away from home because you are going to have that kind of defensive element to it. But I think you'll find that probably Taylor will start most of the games at home, just because he is that box to box player. But yeah, I was surprised myself, to be honest with you, just purely really because Luongo hasn't played a lot of football recently, has he? That's the only thing I would say.
It was more because he's currently the marquee signing. I mean, George Hurst is also up there as in a marquee, but we had him last year. Like Jack Taylor's the guy you've chased for 6 months around the playground saying, sign this bit of paper, Jack, please.
Yeah.
And then when he does, you go, nah, sit back down, Jack.
Perhaps they're, you know, if Alan Nixon of the Sun is to be believed and they are chasing Armstrong for 8 million,
they'll bench him for 3 games.
That's a marquee signing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's just spare change. And if we just spent less than 2 mil on Taylor and then the same price on Hurst or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Well, I just think there's transfers still to be made, but
needs to be.
I just think that maybe McKenna is sort of being a little bit loyal to some of those players that got him up in the first place, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the same, as I say, I think when you look across the squad, and I think this squad is going to be. It's not just a first 11 anymore with football, is it? You've got to have your squad really all competing for the same sort of spots, really. So, you know, it just concerns me slightly that if you look at the kind of the strength in depth, if you like, I just don't think it's sort of there, if you know what I mean.
No, absolutely agree with that. Let's bring in a man that was in the Stadium of Light, tried to join us yesterday, couldn't. Signal was absolutely poor, but it is, of course, the Cruncher. What are you thinking following yesterday's 2-1 win?
Wonderful. Look at this wonderful shirt. We all love this, didn't we?
Oh, yes, the recycling one.
You hated that and still bought it.
Yeah, no. I sent it into my collection, Matt. I think Tux has been really harsh on JD. I thought he had a really good game yesterday up against Jack Clark.
No,
you're up against one. No, defensively, I thought he was spot on. He don't offer much going forward, but I thought yesterday, and people saying about the goal, he had just got fucking absolutely smashed by his goalkeeper, and he probably didn't know which fucking. He thought he was probably at the stadium. He didn't think he was at the Stadium of Light. He probably thought he was at St James's Park.
That is a serious question, though. When are we actually going to see concussion tests brought into football? Like if it's a head injury, surely it's time in football we had a concussion sub and a actual concussion test given.
You've got doctors on the pitch there who should know what they're doing. You know, they should say right because he went off Martin 5 minutes later. So and it looked like quite a. He took a bad hit, didn't he, from Maleki? He cleared the ball and he's good goalkeeping. Took the ball, took the man. But yeah, so look, I thought JD done all right. I'm not his biggest fan, but I thought yesterday he was all right. But
he nearly put Morsi in the back of an ambulance, though, didn't he? As Lewis says, with this.
Yeah,
with
bad ball. Sam got his standard yellow, didn't he? For that.
How that's yellow, I don't know. Yeah, he's not. How can he see behind him? He ain't got wing mirrors, has he? Like you can't check on the traffic oncoming. Like
that was a bad pass from Danassian, wasn't it? That's what we've got to try and eliminate, really. I mean, look, the pressures of a game, right? But that does kind of lend itself to what Tux was saying. Is he really quite? But look, he's only a stand-in for Clark, isn't he? We've got to see if Clark is going to hit the standard. I know he's played games for Stoke, but you know he's coming off the back of this kind of like headless chicken, 2 yellows at Fleetwood. Is he going to have the championship?
Probably see him Wednesday, won't we, Clark? I'd have thought he'd probably get 90 there. I think he'll be Wednesday. Looking ahead to Wednesday, Martin. I think he'll change the whole 11. Kieran.
Yeah. I've got my team coming up. I've changed the whole 11 just for a spoiler.
Yeah,
I've changed it all.
I think he will anyway.
I think he will. But who stood out for you yesterday? And who, you know, like Hladky? Let's talk about Hladky. Starts shaky, but finishes how you want to finish.
Yeah, I think his first 2 touches, weren't it? Look, he's under pressure. He's not played any football. Well, he came on when he in that Exeter game, played a few cup games, but it's a whole different ball game. You're going to Sunderland, and yeah, look, the way we started, Martin, we weren't nervous for the first 20 minutes. I said to the guy next to me, they referenced it on Sky, I think, saying, what was it, 4,000 something at Forest Green, and now we're playing in front of 40 at the Stadium of Light. and it's just a matter of just hanging in the game there. Don't concede the goal. And they done that. And we're not going to have it all our own way in this league. When I spoke to you last night, Matt, and you said, what was it, 35% possession we had in the whole game?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So it's going to be like that in games, especially on the road. And Sunderland are a good side. So you've just got to weather them storms, haven't you, really? But yeah, Halagi, look, Martin, he's come in. I see a comment in the chat there a while ago. If he keeps playing well, Walton won't get back in. Nobody knows when Walton's going to be fit, because I've heard 3 months people are saying that's a really nasty injury he's got. So at the minute, I still think, I don't know what Tuck thinks, I still think we need to sign another goalkeeper, because we're still one injury away from... Look, Nick Hayes, I think, was going to go out on loan anyway. Nick Hayes will not play a game for this football club. No. So you're down to 2 keepers there, Tuck. You've got Slicker, who's a young rookie, Halagi, and I still think you probably need to get another goalkeeper in.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think you've got, if it's 2 or 3 months that, Walton's going to be out for, then obviously you can't risk another injury to, say, a Halagi, because then obviously what have you got? You've got Slicker and Hayes. And, for me, as you quite rightly say, I think Hayes is not going to play for this club, really, if I'm honest. Slicker, I don't know too much about him, but I think he's had a couple of dodgy moments in pre-season. But, I guess with the goalkeeper department, you can look at the emergency goalkeeper loan sort of market, but you never know what you're going to get from that. That's the problem. You're probably going to get a sub goalkeeper in League One or a sub goalkeeper for the Championship that's not play games, so they're not going to be up to match standard potentially. So, for me, if we are looking at goalkeepers, then obviously we need to be doing that now, like most business. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think I would probably be looking at certainly maybe a loan signing to cover that area.
Do you?
Where's Mike Pollitt? Where's Mike Pollitt, Matt, when you need him?
Mike Pollitt, yeah.
For his one game.
Do you play Slicker? So, Richard and Tuck's question for you both: do you play Slicker on Wednesday, or the fact that we're saying he hasn't played a lot of football? Do you give him another game?
Slicker plays.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Halagi starts, though, just based on the fact, obviously, from what you're saying. I think he needs football, but generally, what happens if he gets an injury there? Do you know what I mean? That's obviously Slicker back in the game. So, yeah.
Well, here's a question for you then. If you do bring a goalkeeper in, is it a senior goalkeeper? Is it a younger goalkeeper that's got a bit more experience than a Slicker? I mean, there's mentions in the chat about a certain post goalkeeper who's now third choice.
Don't even mate. His knees are gone. One of my mates supports Millwall. He's now third choice. He's got knackered knees, and he was never any good with his feet anyway, Martin. So why would we even?
How's his hands? Do they still work? Because that's the most important.
Yeah, but we play out from the back now, and you need a goalkeeper who's as good as with his feet as he is with his hands.
But I would take Barty on a loan as your
take your blue tinted glasses off. He down tools on the Hurst. He down tools on the Hurst, and he did. Where's that side picture? What's that picture you got of him?
Not one bit. I don't know. It's up on the wall. Not one bit. Not one bit am I ever that. Never. It probably is.
Well, he did get stitched up by Hurst, didn't he, on Derby Day when he played Dean Gherkin. I mean, come on.
All right,
it's someone of that. I think you're right. It should be someone of that ilk, though. Someone who has got the experience to cover if Ladke was to pick up an injury. I think it's someone in that. But if he's got dodgy knees, then maybe that's not going to help. But someone like that, I think, is probably
Brannigan.
Okay. Mike Salmon. We can go all day. We can go all day.
Get Laurie Sybil back.
Yes, absolutely. Before I've got Steve and Frank, but I want to talk to you a bit more longer, Rich. Talk to me about the subs, because some people in the chat are saying they didn't offer anything. Hutchinson looked raw, a bit naive at times with the ball when you're trying to keep onto a lead. And I forget who the other subs were. That's how much of an impact they made.
The legend,
Marcus Harness.
I said to you, didn't I, Matt, on the way home last night? I know Morsey said 105 minutes. It's a 2-hour game now. It's going to be some of these games you're going to get 10, 15 minutes maybe in each half. So, right, subs. So we bought. I was surprised he took Chaplin off. I wasn't surprised he took Broadhead and Hurst off. Hurst had run his race. He was absolutely knackered. But we see yesterday, right? We see yesterday, and we spoke about this quite a lot last season, the Dapo, quite a few times, Martin, he comes off the bench and he is a lazy fucking arse. He needs to work a lot harder. You're up there.
Different strike.
Yeah, but you've got to put him under pressure. And we can all talk about, look at the decision making when he was through there and he squares it. I didn't think he offered a lot. Hutchinson, we're going to get that, Martin. You referenced that. He's a young kid. You're going to get good one week, and I see people talking about, he should be starting. He's a 19-year-old. He's hardly played any senior football, so let's pump the brakes on him. I thought Harness done all right. Greg Lee come on the end with Don Ball, but the subs are going to be massive this season, Tux, in these games, and I totally agree with you, and I've said it before, I don't think the depth in the squad is good enough at the minute, because your subs are going to be as important as maybe your starters, because they're going to have to close these games out, if you're going to get 15 minutes of injury time, when they're coming on, they're going to get a good 30, 35 minutes in some games. So they're going to be really, really important. And I think that's where we need to be strengthened. And if you look yesterday, Martin, you said about Kyle Edwards. Kyle Edwards didn't even make the bench, and you're getting 9 subs. So I think he could be one when you make some signings. He might be one who might be making way.
Yeah. He needs to go out on loan. He really
did say
does.
that, Martin, didn't you? You did say
2 years in a row. 1 year, I'll be right.
Just to defend Freddie, I know what you're saying, Rich, but I mean, actually, defensively, he did very well. He made a few little clearances in that kind of like.
He didn't give a penalty away. He likes grappling from the corner.
Yeah. He was asking for a yellow. Asking for that.
Yeah, so I like Freddie.
Everyone got booked yesterday, even the 2 managers.
That's again one of the.
We
new
might
rules.
like people, Gov. We might like people, but we have to be ruthless. We're in the Championship now. We're not in League One. It's going to be a lot harder, and you see that last 15 minutes. It was. I know you said about the midfield. I think your 2 centre halves and your goalkeeper. You've got to get people up the pitch. We kept sinking further and further and further back, and it was only because your goalkeeper, right there at the death, we've switched off at the far post there. I don't know who's supposed to be. It's probably Greg Lee's man. He's supposed to be picking up the guy who's at the post.
Yeah.
And we could have come away with 2-2. If you look at the game, I agree with you, Matt. Probably Sunderland did probably deserve something out of it. We had the better chances. They had more possession. We can look at. I see people in the chat saying maybe Sunderland could have had a penalty. The Donatian one, not for me. Jack Clark's. He's looking for it.
Said no.
Yeah, he's looking for it. He's gone down. But the one on George Hurst, I mean, I've watched it several times. The referee is literally fucking 5 yards away. He's looking straight at it. And he's cleaned that. Ballard's cleaned him out. He's got nothing on the ball. He's nowhere near the ball.
But you got
Connor Chiplin. Connor Chiplin, by the way. That's his new name. Connor Chiplin. What a goal that would have been.
It would have been a great goal. But you got to take the Rasmus move, because the referee did play a fantastic advantage for our second goal.
Yes.
And I was really surprised he was given the game, Matt, because it was his 5th Championship game.
Sam Barrett, is that his name?
Sam Barrett, 4 prior, on Sky, 40,000 fans. I was surprised with the Premier League not playing that he was given that game, given the size of it and his.
He's got Bobby Madley was fourth. Bobby Madley's 4th official. He's much more experienced than the actual official in the middle. I mean, well, you've got to get your experience somewhere, but I do tend to agree with that.
Yeah, but Blackburn, West Brom at a 3 PM with no one watching, whereas Sunderland, Ipswich live on Sky. I don't know, Matt. Talk to me, because obviously it's just one opinion. What is yours?
Yeah, I mean, he was card happy. I mean, look, he's had a hell of a game, hasn't he? He's missed a penalty. He's booked both managers. He sent somebody off. They've added on the 13 minutes at the end. I mean, look, we've come out with the result we wanted. I'm sure we'll get other referees of a similar experience at some point, but maybe not, in such a cauldron that is the Stadium of Light on opening day, and our first game back from League One, I suppose. But it is what it is. Look, the question mark was, what the referee is going to be like when we return from League One to the Championship, and I think I
don't blame the ref for adding on the time, because that's only the directive that he's been given. They've been put in that position, and you listen to Mowbray's interview afterwards, but it was like in the stadium when that came up on that board, it was, you could hear like the Town fans were all like, oh, fucking hell. And then all the Sunderland fans, it was just a massive roar, and you thought, Jesus Christ. And you come out that game and you think, we've got 45 more to do like this. And if it's anything like that, we've held on. Did we play our best? No, we didn't. Did we have a bit of luck? Probably. We had a bit of luck along the way, but you're going to need a bit of luck. And it's a fantastic start, mine, but there's so much to build on. It's only the start.
And to learn as well. That's the thing, isn't
it?
it?
Massively, because you've got just for a finish, Matt. There were several, and Kieran said in his interview after the game, we should have got another goal there, Martin. We had several times on the break where you've got the final pass or the final decision, and you have to kill the game. You have to kill the game because it could have really come back and bit us right at the end then when they've hit the post, you know. And when you went, look, we've got the job done, but moving forward, we're in a different level here now. When you get them chances, you've got to stick that ball. Like Hutchinson had a good one as well, Martin, didn't know when he was through and he should have probably passed. And that was like a bit of, he was naive. So, Morsey man of the match, by the way. Morsey man of the match for me.
Okay. All right. Broadhead won it from our viewers last night.
Yeah.
But Cruncher says Morsey for him, and he also won the actual man of the match. Cruncher, we appreciate you coming on.
Before he goes, I want to know what time he got home because everybody, Rich's estimated time of arrival was, what was it, 1:15 a.m.?
No. I had a bit of a nightmare because I had to drop the boys back to Hayville. They were snoring in the car. Bearing in mind, I'd done over 600 miles. I was absolutely knackered, and I've only gone and missed the junction at Duxford. So I've had to go down the next junction. Where is it? About fucking Stansted.
Oh, no.
I've had to go down there, come back the other way. I got home it was about 2:45. I'd done 648 miles yesterday, Gov. And it was worth every single one. Tux, you should have been there. We were in the wheat chief pre-game with Wee Philly. I mean, if you want to go to an away game and a pub that's got someone he gets a thing up on the screen, Matt, no snowflakes. It's fucking brilliant.
Is that why you're wearing that shirt, Rich? Because you're trying to offset your carbon footprint from yesterday's 700-mile drive? So
anyway, it was a great day out, and there's many more to come. Gov, you coming to QPR?
I hope to be, yeah. Certainly hope to be, yeah. Absolutely. Crunch, appreciate you coming on. Look after yourself.
Right, see you later, boys. Enjoy yourself.
Referee on a Monday night, but joining us live tonight. While we were talking, ITFC Mark become a new member on YouTube. Appreciate you, Mark. Thank you very much. Leading the way. And we've got a €3 donation from David. Follow their great lead. Hit the join button on YouTube to follow Mark's wonderful lead, or hit the link on our Kofi to follow David's wonderful, wonderful lead.
Colin's journey to Stadium of Light was a little bit different to Rich's because he stayed in that hotel next door. He's staying up there because they've got family up there. 3:15. I think Rich picked his lads up about 9:15 in the morning. What a day. Yeah.
What a day. Before we bring in Stephen, and then we'll bring in Frank after Stephen, McKenna, what will he be briefing the lads tomorrow on? Tomorrow on, do you think? Do you think it'll be a case of looking at what's good, but more at that last 20 minutes, Tux? Because that can't happen too many times in the Championship moving forward, because you've had that a few times last year. You don't want it at a higher level. When you do switch off for one moment in this league, you are going to get burnt. And today, we didn't, but again, next week we easily could do.
Yeah, I think every game's different, and you know what McKenna's like. He sets his team up to, kind of nullify that sort of opposition, whoever it might be. But he doesn't set up, a team every week with the same sort of team. He really does sort of do his research in that. So I think it will be interesting to see what sort of team we do put out. But as I said earlier, I think you'll see someone like Jack Taylor probably start more home games than away games, just because he has that kind of box-to-box element about him. Morsey could probably cover him, or even a Luongo or whatever. But generally, I think that's what you'll see going forward. And I think away from home, you're going to have probably the Luongos and Morseys probably having to defend in that middle part, and it allows Morsey to go forward further. But yeah, I think that's kind of what you'll see through the course of the season, to be honest.
Does it speak? Because I had somebody text me and say it speaks volumes about McKenna that he didn't put Taylor on in terms of that level of trust, perhaps, away from home, holding on to a lead. I didn't actually agree with the person when they sent it to me, but what do you think on it, Mac? Because, you're holding on. He doesn't feature at all. Does it show that, Taylor's got to earn that right to come in and those moments?
Well, I certainly think he went with the experience of Luongo yesterday. Absolutely. But Tux makes a great point. Taylor's might be more suited to the home games. He's going to have to be played, otherwise he'll get pissed off. But let's not sleep on Luongo either at home. I think he scored all his goals for Town at home, didn't he? So he does get forward as well. But that does seem to make sense to me that Luongo might be a safe pair of hands in front of these bigger occasions. I think you might see a bit more of Taylor. But I think you're right. I think Taylor will probably play against Bristol Rovers. Let's not sleep on Bristol Rovers, by the way. I watched their highlights with Portsmouth.
No, I've had enough of them for the last 4 years. Boring.
They took the lead there. I think it finished 1-1 in the end. But they
knock us out of this Poxy Cup. Not on TV anywhere, man. It's not even streamable, man. It's
I know.
Even if I do get a night off from the celebrations,
can we listen to it on Town TV as subscribers, Martin? Can we listen to it?
No idea, mate. Before we come to Stephen, Norman says, I think McKenna will be in Ashton's office suggesting we need to up the urgency on our signing. Does yesterday's result mean, because there could be a tendency maybe to think, well, we've got the 3 points. We've got some good players here. It's not as urgent as Norman suggests. Or it can go the other way, and you think actually it's more urgent because it really highlighted. Where do you think the club will be on it, Matt? The more urgent or playing the non-urgent game?
I think there probably is urgency behind the scenes, just because the fact if you watch the McKenna Ashton interview, which I've watched kind of in dispatches a little bit, you think neither have gone on holiday, even though McKenna does say he got a bit of a break for a week or two. It seems like they've been hard at it. Ashton was very quick to say, I was at the training ground on Sunday morning after we beat Exeter 6-0 and all that kind of thing. So, he's, got his foot to the floor in terms of trying to progress things. And I can only say well done for that because he's got our club's best interests at heart. There'll be lots of strings being pulled. It's like moving house, isn't it? The chain, as you said before, Martin, the domino effects of who goes where might impact who comes to Ipswich at the end of the day. I think there's lots of moving pieces. It takes a while to get these deals done, as we've been told. They said the Hurst deal was complicated. I'm sure Dara, we've had him on the show, he's a difficult guy probably to deal with in terms of money. Him and Barry Fry in a room on a call with you discussing transfer fees. So, when you add all that up, it is going to take time. We've still got, 3 weeks of the window to go. But, of course, the fixtures come thick and fast. Carabao this week, and then we've got Stoke on, who look a decent side, beat Rotherham 4-1 Saturday. They come to Bournemouth Road. So, the quicker you can get all these players in, and you can start to think about what you're going to look like post-August, I guess. But I think we just have to be a little bit patient. Although, I would have thought we maybe have had one more bigger signing through the door, like you said, Sux, by this point. But we haven't, and it is what it is.
We will. Stephen, welcome in. What are your thoughts this evening
Steve?
following Sunderland 1, Ipswich Town 2?
Well, I think like everybody else, mainly it's relief. It's like we've had this massive anticipation for getting into the Championship for the first time in 4 years. And then, like the players, I think we were all terrified going into it. And they obviously looked like they were terrified going into it. Or at least, I'm, a little bit apprehensive because all these players have seen for the last 2 years is probably Championship on the telly. And it's totally different to Championship on the telly and being on the pitch facing up to like Jack Clark and, people like that running at you. And I think it took a bit of time to adjust to that. And I think that was the first 20 minutes. Because even Sam Morsey, who's been in the Championship's moved on since Sam Morsey was in the Championship. So everything's moved on and we've got in there and we're like, all right, fair enough. So this is what it's like. All I'm glad is we manfully defended in that moment. Yeah. And when we needed defending, even Burgess, give him credit. When we needed defending, it was head it, kick it. We don't care where it goes. Let's get it out of here and let's try and get into this game. Like Tuck said, he said 5-6 games in, Joe Bellingham might have pulled that shot away. 5-6 games in, he might not have had that shot. Things change as the season goes on. And I think what it showed, me and Mike D were having a conversation in Discord. And what it showed, we were watching, I think it was during the the Coventry game. Now, Coventry had been more clinical than I won because they had so much better chances than what was it? Was it Leicester? I think it was Leicester. They had so much better chances.
It was
that Leicester did, but they couldn't finish, and then Leicester punished them. I think the difference with us is we were more clinical than Sunderland, and we're all bemoaning not bringing players in. I've been on a few other podcasts from other Championship clubs. They're all saying the same thing. We need this, we need that.
QPR fans certainly are.
Sunderland pod saying we need 4 or 5. So,
that's a side note. It's not Ipswich, but where are we with Gareth Ainsworth saying after the first day, we're going to try and stay in this division or we're going to stay in this division or whatever it was after game 1? Where are we on that one?
I'm very surprised he has not been given the boot. When you see like a team that really just sort of like quick fire reacts, I was fully expecting Ainsworth to have his marching orders today, but
knee-jerk.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest with you, you'll find that he's so suited to what he was doing at Wickham, and I think I just don't. His style of football is awful, isn't it?
Thing is, though, Tokes, yeah. Has he tried to change his style of football because the players he's got there can't play his style of football?
Well,
So has he gone in?
Can't play a long ball game.
No,
Steve.
Can he bloody hell? He's about 2'4". You know, you've got Ilias Pure, who's about 3.5 foot. You've got Dazelle, who's about 2 foot. You know, you've got these really talented, creative, small players, yeah, who have got good balance, who are like, who'd suit a nice passing team, yeah. And then you bring in Gareth Ainsworth, who's like the reincarnation of Neil Warnock. You know, I'm thinking like they don't fit.
No.
The only way that works is if Gareth Ainsworth changed that side, and he's not brought anyone in. All that's gone.
Ainsworth only really got that job, in my opinion, is because he used to play for QPR.
Yeah.
And he's been a manager that's been sort of touted to go somewhere else because they, you know, but there's a reason why nobody went for him. You know, for God knows how many years, and he stayed at Wycombe for. So he was only ever good, in my opinion. He only went there because he played for the club.
Well, he's opening his doing on the 19th.
Yeah, he will. I can guarantee one thing: he will get at least this month. Yeah, if things haven't picked up by this month, I predict he's the first one to get sacked because I know there's some teams who are very trigger happy. Yeah, and there's some managers who are. You know, in my opinion, I think Warnock will walk. He'll be pretty close to walking. He won't get sacked. He'll walk if he doesn't think he can get a tune.
Game one, he lost once. I mean,
come on, if he can't get a tune out of this team, he'll walk.
Before will Ainsworth be in charge, Steve? Will Ainsworth be in charge on the 19th? I wonder.
I think he'll get this month. Now, if he doesn't, if it carries on like it is for this month, he'll be gone by September. You know what I mean? But I don't think he'll have much longer because they can't afford it. They really can't. You know, they are buggered.
They had Begovic in goal. He was their captain.
Yeah.
Remember his little cameo? Sam Field, Andre Dazelle midfield. They had Dykes up front, Elias Chair, Charlie Kelman. I mean, they were 4 down at half time, weren't they? I think they conceded in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah. I don't get why someone's not gone in for Chair. I'm sorry, he's a quality creative player.
Yeah, I agree.
He's just wasted with that Gareth Ainsworth. You know, someone he must want to go somewhere. He must want to go somewhere where he can play. You know, because right now he must be really constrained by saying, I tell you what, you just run up there and we'll boot it to you. You might get it, but we don't know. You know, I'm thinking like that must be soul breaking for a player who's so creative.
It must. Steve, before I bring in Frank and let you go, last thought from you on the game from yesterday.
Last thought, I am so pleased for George Hurst. For so long, people have said he's not a championship striker. And I said last season, when he was scoring them goals, I think it was just towards the end of the season, I said, them goals would have gone past any championship goalkeeper. He can score. He's a finisher, yeah? But he's got to be in the position and the ball's got to be right to do them finishes. I just think it hasn't happened at the other clubs. I'm really pleased for him, really chuffed for him. And I saw the face on him. He was so relieved. And one final, I watched Town in 5 today. They've started putting them on YouTube, Gov, so you're all right, man. You know,
I'm a Town TV member, Steve. I don't start on Town TV. I can't understand the most popular show not being on Town TV.
You know,
premium content.
They're all on YouTube as well now, so don't worry about it. Yeah, I know it was one of your rants, but right at the end of Town TV, ball went up to Lalapo and said, "Square it, square it." I thought it was fucking lovely. I thought that was perfect. You know, next time he'll bloody well know. But I do think it's beneficial. One last point. I'll do me Dave Lundell. I do think it was beneficial, yeah, to start the window where we haven't got all our business done. Because sometimes you can get all your business done, start the window and go, shit, we need something. You know, at least now we'll have 2 or 3 games. We can assess the players we've got. You know, there might be the odd surprise in there. I thought Danasian handled Clark very well. I don't disagree. You know, you could say, but I've seen him skin better defenders, put it that way. You know, so for the quality Clark has, I think JD was decent. I'm not saying he was godlike, but he was effective. Because Clark was very rarely putting anything in the box. Whether that was because they didn't have a striker in there who was any good, I don't know. But I think sometimes you need to have that little bit of leeway in your squad to say, look, just in case, like we have now with the goalkeeper. I don't know whether we get another goalkeeper. I think that depends on whether the club how long Walton's out for. The club will know that. If we go for a goalkeeper, it means he's out for a while. If we don't, he's probably not. But we need that little bit of flexibility, and I think
insightful there, Parry. If he's out for a while, we'll get one. If he isn't, we won't.
Well, it's true.
Boom, cut and dry.
And I think this allows us a bit of flexibility where we can have a look and see maybe we need a striker, maybe we need a defender, maybe we need this.
Perfect. We love you, Steve. All the best. Feature on Discord. Look after yourself.
Look after
we'll go straight to
All
Frank.
the best.
Frank, welcome in.
Hello.
Hi,
Matt. How you doing? Hey, we've got matching hats on.
Yeah, I put this on to give you a bit of competition. I thought.
I think you've won it. I think you've won.
You're looking much better than yours, Frank. Much better.
That's why I wear caps.
First and foremost, we don't like speculation. We're not allowed it anymore. But where's this defender that you were sort of talking about last week, Frank? You know, has he gotten lost on the A140 or the A14? Where is he?
Yeah, the central defender. Yeah, well, it was supposed to be a surprise. It's that guy. What's his name? I've forgotten who it is now.
Axel Tunzenby.
Pardon?
Is it Axel Tunzenby's name? Or was it Tunzenby?
Well, there was Axel Tunzabi. Axel Tunzabi, that was the guy, wasn't it? Because he was a free agent from Manchester United. And the Mole, because I only get text messages from him, I'm not speaking to this guy, but he said that there would be a centre half coming in that will surprise everyone. And I assumed that was him. Now, it may be somebody else. We're not 100% sure. But if it was him, then that would be a good signing, I guess. He's 25 years of age. He's played in the Premiership. I think he's even played in the Champions League. So that would be a good signing, but nothing much has happened since. So until I get some information from the Mole on that, rest assured,
you want to look after that Mole, mate, because the pest control are out over the weekend. Let's be honest. So, what are your thoughts on the game?
I thought Town were under the cosh for the first 30 minutes. And as somebody suggested earlier on, I think it was Matt, it was like men against boys. And then suddenly, I think it was a combination of Ipswich not having an awful lot of self-belief at that stage. They should have done with the wonderful track record of 19 games undefeated. But going up a tier, you noticed the difference straight away yesterday. And I was getting very anxious. Gosh, I was blind drunk by the end of it because I was watching it on TV. So it's not like being in the ground where you can't have a drink in it. You can in the Netherlands, by the way. You can have a beer here, which I think is civilized, to be honest. But anyway, I drank and drank and drank. And even those 13 minutes seemed like 3 seconds, which was a great relief.
I love it. Civilized over here. And then I drank and drank and drank and drank and drank. That's incredibly civilized, that does, Frank. It's my sort of civilized evening. And then we passed out. Who was your man of the match, Frank?
My man of the match is Sam Morsey, I think. But we have to not forget, somebody posted it, Cameron Burgess. He was very, very good too. He was sort of the forgotten man at the back, I think, but he was solid as a rock. I've always liked Cameron Burgess, to be honest. And I think it was Paul Cook, wasn't it, who bought him? And there's a fair few players in the Ipswich Town squad, even now in the Championship, are Paul Cook acquisitions, and even one or two were from the days of Paul Hurst. I mean, Dacian is one, isn't he? And Caden Jackson is the other. So, they didn't play. They weren't very good at managing, but they were good at selecting good players, the two of them, and it's been proven, I think. Paul Cook especially.
I got a 3-word review from Baggins 1985 on Twitter, Frank, that said league on notice. Do you agree with that?
I'm sort of inclined to sort of think that it's going to be a difficult season for Town. I think, one win, it's a great win. It was a fabulous win. Let's not forget it. I mean, it was at Sunderland, packed house, partisan crowd. And in fairness, I sort of think it's going to be a difficult campaign. I really do. But you have to start with continue that momentum from last season, which we've done with this victory. I think the difference between the two sides at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I've got to tell you this very quickly story. At the end of the day, a guy from Ipswich, and I said, "Why did you split up with your girlfriend, Adam?" He said, "Because at the end of every sentence, you said, at the end of the day, Adam, at the end of the..." So I just said it now and Rung laughs and she hears it. So going off.
Adam. Poor Adam. His heartbreak is not a funny story, Frank. Poor Adam.
It's hard, really, isn't it? Ladkey, I think. I always felt I was fairly confident with Ladkey because I said to a few people, you know, a goalkeeper only gets very limited opportunities, and they've got to take them with both hands, so to speak, and he did. So long may that continue.
Or a leg in this instance, right? Or a leg,
wasn't it? It was a leg deflected off the leg. But it was a good Town performance, and the difference between the two teams was it was about lethal finishing, wasn't it? You know. Sunderland missed theirs, we took ours, and 2 good goals. And whatever we say about that referee, Sam Bartley or Barley, whatever his name is, Barrow, thank you. He gave the advantage, which was very important because Broadhead's sublime pass through to Hurst and the goal. So I think at the back of his mind, he thought to himself, I think he thought, right, okay, maybe I should have given a penalty with Ganassi, you know it. Yeah, I'm sure the Sunderland supporters thought that, and I thought he's going to give a penalty here. That was my first impression. And then, as referees do, he thought about it and he thought, if I get the opportunity, I'll level things out. And that's what he did, because it was clearly a Hurst penalty. I think he knew it was a penalty, but he just thought, well, okay, I'll let it go, and it's 1-1 in terms of penalty. Not given. Yeah.
Frank, we appreciate you coming on. And by the way, tell your friend who's got the heartbreak. At the end of the day, he's much better off without her.
At the end of the day, yes.
Look after yourself. All right, all the best. All the best. We've got 2 more 3-word reviews to get to read out, but we'll come to Bristol Rovers first of all, gentlemen. I've got an 11 which I'll put on the screen for you right now. Tell me how good, where the changes need to be, or if you think I've got it spot on. Slicker in goal, Clark, Edmondson, Baggett, Lee, Taylor Evans, Hutchinson, Harness, Jackson, and Ladapo. Tux, kick us off. Would you change anything there for Bristol Rovers tomorrow?
I don't think so. I mean, the only one I might sort of have maybe is probably potentially Haladki if you're going to give him more minutes and more confidence in goal. But, you know, I think everyone else obviously needs some game time. So I wouldn't be too disappointed to kind of see that kind of 11 put out, really. And it'd be interesting to see what happens. I think the only other one I might look at is potentially Hutchinson, because he is more of a wide right player than he is a left. So maybe Edwards might come in for him, and then you might see, like a Hutchinson on the right potentially, or, you know, Jackson on the bench or whatever. But yeah, I think generally it would be too different from that, I wouldn't have thought.
Great point there from Tux, Matt. You could maybe see a Harness move out to the left and a Luco come in the number 10 tomorrow? Wednesday, sorry?
Well, we thought he might only get some opportunities in cups. I think this is a pretty good team. Question mark. Well, I think there's a question mark over Clark, whether or not he's still fit enough to play. Edmondson, not sure. Rusty, he needs game time. Didn't look very good against Luton. Baggett, I think, might be nailed on to start. Give him some minutes. Ditto Lee. It'd be interesting to see what Taylor and Evans is like as a midfield combo if this does come to fruition, because we've always been speaking about Taylor, Morsey, and Luongo. So it'd be interesting to see that. It's a shame. Is Humphrey still out on concussion injury or whatever it was?
No, I think he was back in the travelling party, certainly. I'm not sure on the bench or not, I can't remember, but he was certainly in the travelling party for this weekend. So
okay, that'd be interesting to see. Very interesting that you had 2 teenagers in the spotlight over the weekend. Obviously, Joe Bellingham yesterday. People say Sky saying he might go on to be better than his brother. We'll have to wait and see. And now Archie Gray at Leeds, who's the great nephew of Eddie Gray and Frank Gray's grandson. So a bit of a Gray dynasty at Leeds. Interesting that they, you know, we've kind of ummed and ahed about Humphreys, haven't we? Oh, is he going to be good enough for the Championship? Perhaps he needs to go on loan. You know, and I know Mike the Fisherman's always said just throw him in there. It's interesting that they've just thrown those 2 youngsters in there, you know. But I'd like to see Humphreys get some game time if possible. And
but where though, Matt? Because you've got Taylor and Evans there, and then you've got Don Ball, who's not even in that 11, which is, you know, who's primarily a midfield player that's covering at right back. Yeah. The numbers game, as with Edwards, it's really against Humphreys.
Yeah, I get that. Although Humphreys played more games, I think, than what Don Ball would have done last year.
Well, even if Don Ball was fit for the whole season, because I don't agree with that. I think if Don Ball was fit for the whole season,
other players, aren't they? Look, Ball is probably your. I don't know what you think, Tux. I'd say Ball is probably your replacement for Morsey, isn't he? In terms of, you know, trying to win the ball back.
I think he's certainly that type of player. But I fully expect him to be more defensively this year. If I'm honest, I feel like he's going to be that player to sort of fill in at, you know, a right back or, you know, centre half somewhere.
Utility. You see him ready.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I mean, look, we have seen him at right back, haven't we, in pre-season? But Ball seems to be a replacement for Morsey if that were to happen. And in Humphreys, is your playmaker, your box to box. I mean, just look at the goal he scored against Lincoln last season, where he ghosts in, doesn't he, and heads it in to the far post. Don't actually see any of our midfield score goals like that. But yeah, I think your attacking options there at the end there, Ladapo would seem nailed on. People want to see Amari Hutchinson, ditto Caden, and probably give Harness some game time. But the Bristol Rovers looked a decent side to me. They look quick. They looked a bit of a counter-attacking team, and I've always been a bit of a fan of Joey Barton, as you know. So
they've had a very good window, to be fair to them. Norman says Don Ball in the back, as they won't put the 2-club rule at risk for Baggett. Good point. But if anything, that graphic does show, or certainly showed me anyway, just how light we are in that central defender area, if you didn't already know it as a Town fan, because, one pull-up in training this week.
Yeah.
You've got Edmondson and Baggett off the bench potentially if you need him during the game. We need that centre half quite desperately, I would probably argue. Score prediction wise, every week I'll give mine, and I've asked a random contributor. I need you both to tell me whether you agree with one of us, both of us, or whether you think it's going to be a different score. But tomorrow I have gone for a 3-1 Town win, and George, who's our random contributor this week, has gone for a 2-1 Town win. What do we make of that? Matt, you first. What do you think the score's going to be tomorrow? Anyone on the screen, or you got a different one for
Wednesday?
us?
It's Wednesday, is it not? Wednesday,
yeah. I can't get my head around it.
Annoying that. I like your scoreline, but having watched a bit of Bristol Rovers, I'm leaning more towards George. I think it would be a tougher game than what people think. They gave Portsmouth a really good game and took the lead, and they play in a very weird grey kit, so whether or not they bring that out at Portman Road remains to be seen. I'll go with George, the 2-1, but I think it'll be tough. I think that 11's going to get it's going to feel it at full time, I reckon.
Tux?
Yeah, I'd imagine that Bristol Rovers will make some changes themselves. I think obviously their priority is obviously the league, isn't it? So I wouldn't be surprised if they make some wholesale changes as well. But I think it will be a game that will essentially kind of be a bit of a pre-season match for fringe players, to be honest with you. So I'd hopefully be inclined to go with Gov's scoreline, to be honest with you, because I do think Bristol Rovers will make some changes. And that, that side you put out, Gov, that's more than enough to, score a couple of goals past them as well. So yeah, I'd go with you.
I think Norman's maybe got a good point about Baggett, and you might see Ball in there. But I would like to see Baggett get some minutes. Yeah. Again, his future's up in the air, isn't it, Tux, at the moment? Is he going to go out alone? Is he going to hang around?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I completely forgot about that. So yeah, I would agree that probably Ball might come in and play centre half, I would have thought, because he's going to need game time to. If he does end up playing in that position a lot this season, obviously he's going to need some game time to sort of practice that. So I think you might see him play tomorrow. I think if Baggett doesn't play tomorrow, that certainly means for me he's going out on loan.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you ever so much, gentlemen. Tonight's Talking Town is in the books. I have got 2 more 3-word reviews from Tom Horrocks on Facebook. A good start. And Brandon Carter from Instagram, nervous bloody wreck. 3-word reviews will be after every Town game on our social media. So follow us on Instagram, Talking Town _ITFC, Facebook, Talking Town, the Ipswich Town FC podcast, and of course, Twitter, Talking Town ITFC. But thank you, gentlemen. That man there is the man from Del Monte. He is Mr. Mark Tuxford, the peaky one. This is Talking Towns. Like, subscribe. A quick check-in before we go. Just how many likes we're away from the 200 target that the Crunch has set. We are, that's 70 likes away. So hit the like button and we'll catch you all during the week. So as I like to say to end the show, Abba. You make me smile when I think of you. If I get down low and I am blue, I can't get enough. Oh, yes, lover. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. Oh, yes, lover. I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I felt went crazy from just the thought of you. A long blonde hair.